पाकिस्तान की कहानी अपने बच्चों को जो है आपने जरूर सुनानी है ताकि वो पाकिस्तान की कहानी ना भूलें. Well, our forefathers they thought that we are different from the Hindus in every possible aspect of life. Our religion is different, our customs are different, our traditions are different, our thoughts are different, our ambitions are different. That was the foundation of the two nation theory that was laid there. That we are two nations, we are not one nation.
Namaskar and Jai Hind. And today we are discussing General Asim Munir, the Chief of Army Staff in Pakistan. His speech before the overseas Pakistani seems to be copying the Pravasi Bharati now, as they always copy India in everything they do. So this was a speech, around 8-minute speech, which has created a lot of stir, lot of emotions all around. And to discuss this speech and the state of Pakistan, we have with us Lieutenant General Syed Ata Hasnain, former GOC, 15 Corps of the Indian Army and member of NDMA. Welcome to Samvad, sir.
Thank you. बहुत shukriya and Jai Hind to all our viewers.
Sir, we have heard what General Munir has said about Hindus being different nations, they being different nations, and harping on the two-nation theory. Now, this might seem, a lot of people are offended by the whole speech, by the Hindu-phobic intent of the speech, but I, on a personal note, am not offended. For the simple reason that he is saying what Sir Syed Ahmed said, what Allama Iqbal said, what Jinnah said, and what the basis of Pakistan was. So that is the truth. He's stating the truth, and we should be thankful for him for stating the truth and making it very obvious. But my question about the whole thing, I was going through a lot of data, sir, on Pakistan, that right now 40% of the people in Pakistan live below poverty. Their currency has depreciated by 177% in the last decade. Unemployment is up to 7% from 1.5% in the last decade. And the total debt is at around $283 billion, which is around somewhere around 80% of the total GDP. Now, and terrorism is going on all around Pakistan, lot of separatist movement. So instead of tackling the problems they have on hand, General Munir, obviously he's the leader of the country, because politicians don't matter much. Why is he suddenly harping to the two-nation theory and Hindu phobia? Help us decode it.
Thank you, first of all, for inviting me for this show and this program of yours. And it surprises me how well you have started this whole program. Stating the obvious and putting out some great data and information analysis of the same. Let me start by the first part of your reiteration of the fact that whatever General Munir has said is actually true, in the sense that it's another iteration of the basis of Pakistan, or the manner in which the founding fathers of Pakistan looked upon their nation. What else can you expect from? That's what I would ask a lot of people in India. What else can you expect from a Pakistani army chief? Is he going to go against the basis of the formation of Pakistan? Is he going to go on Gandhi's statement to say that we can live as one nation, that religion may divide us, but our culture unifies us? In South Asia, we have one single culture which unifies us. Nothing of that is expected from someone like Asim Munir. Someone like Bajwa was still perhaps educated enough to be able to state something like this, but politically, obviously, would not. But the moment General Asim Munir came, and he's also known as Maulvi Asim Munir, as you are aware, it was obvious that there would be a change in stance, and his manner of looking at things would be from a deeply religious angle, and he stood by that. That's exactly what you are seeing on display in this particular speech to their diaspora, the people from their diaspora. But let me come to your second part. Your analysis of the data and the data which you have put out makes things obvious. It makes my answer so much easier. Obviously, in everything that Pakistan has attempted to do, it seems to have failed. But also, let me reiterate one other thing, which a lot of people from India of this generation, or today's generation, may not understand. Actually, Pakistan's rate of growth, early part of their foundation from 47, 48 till about 65, 67, 68 was on a fast track. You know, they were very close to the West. They were part of CENTO and CETO and all kinds of organizations. They were supposed to be a very evolving kind of a nation. People who came from Pakistan to India in those days carried lots of foreign goods with them, chewing gums and chocolates. And those were the days of socialist India. When we used to wonder in India, कि ये कहाँ से आता है इनके पास सब कुछ? Right? Even a small Kame soap was a great gift for an Indian at that time. But everything went haywire after 1971, particularly after 71 and then after 77 when Ziaul Haq came and decided to adopt the policy of religiosity and fundamentalization and radicalism and things like that. Now that led Pakistan up the garden path, and you see where they are. You've seen how their currency has devalued over a period of time. What their buying power today is. Who wants to stay in Pakistan? कौन रहना चाहता है पाकिस्तान में? सब भागना चाहते हैं. यहाँ हम भारत में कहते हैं डंकी रूट है इधर उधर. There are thousands of donkey routes which the Pakistanis choose to go to follow. And at the same time, it's also important to mention here that a lot of countries in West Asia today, rather in the Middle East today, are not accepting Pakistanis any longer. उनको वो वीजा भी नहीं दे रहे हैं. They don't want to see their labor force, their workforce to be Pakistani, because they feel that this radicalization thing has gone too far. And they realize that it's a world of acceptance, tolerance. That is what the most of the Middle East is going towards. You're seeing Saudi Arabia में क्या हो रहा है? The whole nature of Saudi Arabia is changing. तो ये सब वहां हो रहा है, मगर पाकिस्तान is sticking to the old, sticking to his to Ziaul Haq's philosophy and doctrine that Islam will deliver everything to them. Islam has delivered nothing to them because they haven't. You see, you can't say that Islam will come and deliver everything to us if we will not work hard towards achieving our thing. We will not unify. We will vilify every other faith, not have any tolerant approach and attitude, and not even display basic humanitarian qualities. We will promote blasphemy laws. We will go against all other minorities. We will not accept any empowerment of women. ये सब चीजें अगर आप promote करेंगे तो आपकी हालत यही होगी. And at the end of the day, you want to copy India by calling all your people from the diaspora प्रवासी भारत, प्रवासी पाकिस्तानियों को बुलाकर आप उनसे बात करना चाहते हैं और उनको बताना चाहते हैं कि देखिए, reinvest here. Reinvest in what has been created by Pakistan so that we can redouble the efforts towards breaking up Pakistan. That's exactly what the message which he is delivering out there. We will go on with that.
तारीख में सिर्फ दो रियासतें हैं जो कलमे की बुनियाद पर बनी हैं. पहली जो थी उसका नाम है रियासत तैयबा, क्योंकि तैयबा जो है वो नबी करीम सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम ने उसको नाम दिया था. और जबकि कुरान में उसका नाम है यसरब, या अहले यसरिबा ला मुकाम लकुम फरजिउ, ये कुरान में नाम है उसका, जो आज जिसको मदीना अल मुनव्वरा कहा जाता है. और दूसरी रियासत जो है वो उसके 1300 साल के बाद अल्लाह ताला ने ये आपकी बनाई है, कलमे की बुनियाद.
Sir, talking of religious identity, the reversion, the use of Islam in everything in Pakistan, especially by the Pakistani army, sir, he also alluded to, he talked about Medina and sort of the Riyasat-e-Medina 2.0. Imran Khan used to say the same things. Now, I really fail to understand, sir, as to why do these politicians in Pakistan always revert to religious symbolism when they are unable to tackle any problem in Pakistan?
See, Mayank, even I, a secular and tolerant Indian Muslim, I'm going to revert back to Islam to answer your question.
Sir.
I consider it blasphemy on the part of Asim Munir to even invoke the idea of Riyasat-e-Medina. I mean, how can you even compare something which the Holy Prophet had created in the form of the ideal state? You want to compare it to this oddity called Pakistan, जिसके अंदर दहने से बाएं किसी को मालूम नहीं कि क्या हो रहा है. That was the perfect state, and this is what people like Imran Khan want to compare to. And ये दोनों हैं तो जानी दुश्मन, but both of them seem to be having a common approach that they want to create a Riyasat-e-Madina, or they want to treat Pakistan as Riyasat-e-Madina. That Pakistan is the only other state which was created as an Islamic state. बाकी सब तो बन के हुए हैं, मगर हम तो बनाए गए थे. Therefore we have the divine status of being Islamic. That's the kind of thing which he wants to invoke. You see, all this comes from these extreme ideas. The moment you see to yourself to be a failing state, the moment you want to have unnatural controls, and Pakistan के अंदर तो unnatural control है ही. अब देख रहे हैं कि पाकिस्तान आर्मी का पिछले 50 साल से कंट्रोल रहा है. कभी डेमोक्रेसी का नाम लेते तो हैं, इलेक्शंस भी होते हैं, बट अल्टीमेटली सिर्फ सिलेक्टेड लोग बनते हैं, उनके प्राइम मिनिस्टर्स या जो भी मिनिस्टर जो वहां पर बनते हैं, दे ओनली सिलेक्टेड पीपल. सो डेमोक्रेसी इज ओनली इन नेम. दे आर ओनली यूजिंग फेथ टू फूल देयर ओन पीपल, or try and translate this into a divine message that we are the chosen people. And through this messaging, they want to try and put Pakistan on a pedestal within the Islamic world and otherwise the rest of the world, not realizing that they are actually the laughing stock of the Islamic world and the rest of the world.
Stance on Kashmir is absolutely clear. It was our jugular vein. It is our jugular vein.
Sir, he came back to the same old he reverted back to the same things, talking about Kashmir, jugular vein, and how Pakistan will never give up. Now, is he trying to deflect, basically trying to deflect, as you have been stressing, he's been trying to deflect the, what should I say, the whole situation from his own problems to something else. But can we also presume that they're trying to instigate because of Kashmir as of now? There have been certain instances in Jammu and Kashmir where terrorism has flared up, but it has been controlled very fast. So are they trying to instigate the people once again through this messaging? And I mean, this is a very relevant question to me also, this Aman Ki Asha gang in India also, sir. So has he finally laid them to rest?
Interesting question. Let me answer it very differently. You see, if I would say, I would look at it from an intelligence appreciation angle. जब फौज में हम intelligence appreciation करते हैं, तो we put ourselves into the shoes of the adversary. How would the adversary think? मैं अगर आसिम मुनीर होता इस वक्त, तो मैं क्या कर रहा होता वहां? I would also be invoking this. When the moment a function of this kind, an event of this kind has been organized, I may have organized it, the army may not have organized it, the government may have done it, but the occasion was there. I've been invited to speak there. I am not, such events are not for delivering what the organizers want you to deliver. कि एक आप motivation message दे दीजिए या कुछ दे दीजिए. These are the places to drop words, terminologies, things like that, to keep people guessing. This is the whole world of the gray zone. कि किसी को लोगों को इंटरप्रेट करने के लिए छोड़ दीजिए कि मेरा मतलब क्या था इसके अंदर. I think Asim Munir has done it cleverly. And if you look at Pakistan's strategic security environment, then there are a lot of things which can be picked up from this speech. He has mentioned Kashmir particularly. And we know that Kashmir is a failing story as far as Pakistan is concerned. Pakistanis themselves talk about it. You meet any Pakistani off the radar, if you meet him on the sidelines of an event, he will always say, Kashmir, sahib, Kashmir ko to chhod do abhi. Right? But the leadership, the military leadership cannot. They have to invoke it. So they will always find a time, this is the ideal kind of an event in which to invoke it. Delivering a message to people who are living abroad so that they can carry the message, the Kashmir struggle is not over. And that is a fact. The Pakistani feels that. The Pakistani establishment still feels it. We in India know that we have in total control of Kashmir. But most of us who are analysts will also tell you that it is not something which is a grand finale. It can always be triggered. It can always be instigated. If our eyes are not on the radar, something can always be done here and there. You're seeing what is happening in Kathua at the moment. I have written about it also. Something very small. You need not try and make it too big. The moment you try and make it too big, then your adversary starts swatting it around here and there. Then he starts using heavy power for that. You try something small so that you can keep the fire burning. And that's exactly what he's doing. And he's speaking about all this on Kashmir. Kashmir, अगर कश्मीर की बात पाकिस्तान का आर्मी चीफ नहीं करेगा तो पाकिस्तान भूल जाएगा कश्मीर को. This sort of has to be kept in mind. I'm looking at it from an adversarial angle. The second area I'm looking at is Bangladesh. देखिए बांग्लादेश में क्या क्या हो रहा है. Let's not just focus on the West and let's not focus only on this audience. बड़ी bore audience थी, वो audience भी बड़ी bore लग रही थी. They were listening to them and they were just clapping and clapping and clapping as such audiences always do. Right? But you could make out of the faces of them, it was not something which was being passionately appreciated as such. Everyone knew that what he is speaking is really not the truth. But the event was not for speaking the truth. The event was more for invoking ideas and thoughts and dropping all this so that people take away all this and speak elsewhere. And Bangladesh was an important linkage here. Just at this time, the Foreign Secretary of Pakistan was visiting Bangladesh. हालांकि बांग्लादेश के अंदर एक बड़ी अजीब चीज उन्होंने बोली है आज about war reparations and $4.5 billion US dollars and a public apology by Pakistan. That is also a red herring to my mind to a great extent. That is to be separately analyzed. मगर पिछले 6 महीने से there is a tremendous linkage which is going on between the ISI and the Bangladesh authorities. I won't say intelligence agencies, the authorities, to try and message as if a third front is opening up for India. एक तो वेस्टर्न फ्रंट है ही, एक नॉर्दर्न फ्रंट है, अब एक ईस्टर्न फ्रंट खुल रहा है. You know, these are ways of trying to show your adversary you're getting surrounded. See, तीन तरफ से, तीन दिशा से आप घिरे हुए हैं. और चौथा दिशा हम अगर सदर्न इंडिया के अंदर भी कुछ रेडिकल आइडियाज इस्तेमाल करके वहां पर भी कुछ तहलका मचाना शुरू कर दें, then you are in 4 directions you are looking around, right? That's how strategically a person will want to deal with his adversary. हम क्या कर रहे हैं? हम भी तो अफगानिस्तान के साथ we are doing our parleys, and despite the fact that we have not recognized Pakistan like any other country, with Afghanistan like any other country, but Afghanistan के साथ हम कुछ ना कुछ parleys कर रहे हैं. Because it's good that what Pakistan considers is its depth areas, the very famous strategic depth which they keep talking about. We should make sure that strategic depth is actually in our favor. That they will feel more surrounded by it, right? So this is the manner in which I would look at this particular event and the manner and Asim Munir's various utterances. Although I don't give Asim Munir so much of intelligence. Oh, I mean, he's not such a sharp cookie. Bajwa, to my mind, was a sharper cookie, much sharper. And Bajwa knew what he was talking about. He wanted peace ultimately with India. Right? His utterances in the last 3 years were, particularly at the Islamabad dialogue, he often spoke about the necessity of resolving Kashmir, coming to terms with India, etc. Otherwise, he also was fully aware that Pakistan could not grow. And he did not ever give speeches of this kind. But Maulvi Saab, the army chief, suddenly has thought about talking in these ways, obviously to try and bring about a religious affinity within the nation. To tell them, you are different to Hindus completely. Humko zaruri hai. I mean, we could have just ignored this unnecessary diatribe on his part, but it's important for us to counter it and speak about it, because otherwise it will just go away like that and it will go into record like that. People like us, people like you, all of us who are educated enough understand it. कि हम भारत के अंदर how we have adjusted with each other to live wonderfully. हमारी क्यों 6.5% ग्रोथ हुई है जबकि पूरी दुनिया की ग्रोथ जो है 2.5 और 3% की ग्रोथ है, तो हमारी कैसे 6.5% ग्रोथ होती है? How does our leadership manage to get things done in this particular manner? These are issues that Asim Munir needs to be told about. He needs to realize it. He has to be countered with all this. Otherwise, he'll get away with this idea that and project it to the less educated Pakistanis around that it is only Islam which works and nothing else. And this whole idea of Islam working, of making sure that minorities are not respected and things like that will take Pakistan to what it is destined to go to. Utter failure, a failed state status, and that's about all.
Sir, I was just thinking, आपने एक बहुत important issue raise कर दिया, sir, क्योंकि there seems to be an intent to also kind of put some doubts in the minds of the Muslims living in India also through this speech. Sir, I take the liberty of asking this question, sir. You are an Indian first. You are an Indian Muslim, sir. You have served the Indian Army for so long. And you are admired by millions of Indians, me being the first of them, sir. What would your response or message to General Munir be from an Indian side, sir?
Dekhiye, from the Indian side, it is, I have already spoken my bit in terms of the understanding of the speech which Asim Munir gave. But my specific message to him would be that as a man in uniform, first of all, you don't talk, you don't speak on religion, right? As a man in uniform who's supposed to be educated, upwardly mobile, you are supposed to be giving that kind of leadership which should do good to your nation. I'm not saying religion does bad to your nation. Religion is on one side. I wish in this speech General Munir had spoken about the failures of Pakistan. हम क्यों फेल हुए हैं? Why can't we achieve much more? Why can't we draw so much more foreign direct investment into our country? क्यों नहीं हमारे systems जो हैं वो efficient हो सकते हैं? क्यों नहीं आर्मी हमारी जो है वो disinvest कर सकती है इतना ताकि जो वो मैन्युफैक्चर कर रही है वो प्राइवेट हैंड्स में चले जाए? I mean, the world would have woken up to it suddenly. The diasporas around the world would have said, here's a man of courage. He has come to lead his nation. But no, Asim Munir is a conventional leader. He just wants to go along with the flow. The flow in Pakistan, which was created in 1977, was by Ziaul Haq. और वही flow के साथ Asim Munir is deciding to go. He doesn't have the courage. Generals are supposed to have courage. मैं नहीं कहता हूं कि मुझ में courage है, मगर मुझे जब कश्मीर भेजा गया, जब भारत की सरकार ने मुझे कश्मीर भेजा, I changed a lot of things. I managed to look at things and convince the government of India, convince the Indian Army that we needed to look at lots of things differently, and everyone agreed to it. We achieved those. But I'm not giving that as an example to Munir, but Munir Sahib needs to understand. General Munir needs to understand he heads a very large army, 6.5 lakh army, right? Well-equipped army. Yes, it's an adversarial army to us. He may consider it to be very efficient. His controls over government are complete and intense. But those very controls are ensuring that there is no promotion of economic growth, humanitarian, growth as such, a social environment, education. किस चीज में पाकिस्तान के अंदर growth हुआ है? If he would have touched on one or two such aspects outside the religion aspect, the religious identity, I would have given him very high marks. That is what military leaderships are supposed to do. They recognize the problem, take it by the scruff of the neck, and make sure that you deliver. No one in Pakistan has been able to deliver. All that they have delivered is corruption. All that they have delivered is ensuring that their senior officers have the best of farmhouses, the best of residences all over the country. And the whole nation is just looking upon them and saying, wish we could be a part of the Pakistan Army. So it would be a great day when Asim Munir could turn around and give a speech by which people would turn around in the country and say, ye aaya hai, ye khuda ka banda aaya hai, who will lead us from the state that we are, of despair that we are in. And hopefully he will get extension after extension after extension. That Pakistan can ultimately go back to the type of growth they were having in the 50s and maybe the early 60s. That's the kind of message I would give to General Asim.
Sir, is that the reason you spoke of the luxuries, the plots, the houses, the foreign education of their students? Is that the reason why these people always want to keep Pakistan backward, keep harping on the Indian Muslims through Kashmir, via Kashmir, whereas on the other hand, the Middle East, which is the cradle of Islam, has accepted that everything is fine. So there are problems there. Obviously, with 1.4 billion people living in a country, there will be occasional problems, but India is mature enough to settle those problems. The Middle East has accepted it, but the Pakistani army in particular and the Pakistani state just refuses to accept this fact.
Very interestingly, Mike, when I participate in track 2 dialogues with the Pakistani generals, out of the many of us who are participating from India, they find my presence the most awkward. सबसे ज्यादा awkward उनको मेरी presence लगती, क्योंकि वो जवाब नहीं दे पाते हैं बहुत चीजों के वो जवाब नहीं दे पाते, क्योंकि मैं उनको कहता हूं कि मैं तो हूं यहाँ, I'm here.
Yes, sir.
I'm a living example, and they don't. In fact, one of our colleagues in that, a very senior colleague in this team, which often goes for track 2 dialogues, told me once that the entire team which comes from Pakistan wants to target you, pointing a finger at me. They want to target you. They want to try and embarrass you because they feel that if they can do that to you, then they can put us all down, right? So you are absolutely 100% right. Indian Muslims is a chip on their shoulder. They always feel very awkward about it. Existence of a segment which is larger than the population of Pakistan. और वहां पर अच्छे खासे जी रहे हैं, अपने अपने काम कर रहे हैं, achieving hugely, whether it's in the armed forces, it's in the film industry, it's in the cricket industry, or anything in science and technology. किसी भी चीज में भारत में देखिए, Indian Muslims are there very much to contribute. So this is something which is anathema to a Pakistan. He somehow cannot just tolerate it. And it's this very fact, the existence of this Muslim community, large, I mean, hardly call it a minority. I don't call Muslims in India a minority. 200 million Muslims could call minority kahega. But the very fact that they are here is understood and recognized by the Islamic nations in West Asia, by Indonesia, by Malaysia and countries like that, whole of Central Asia. All of them understand it. And that's the reason why their approach and attitude to India is very different. That is the reason why they welcome Mr. Modi with open arms each time he goes there. That's the reason why Abu Dhabi willingly hands over land to create a Hindu temple. They know that this is a country which will respect all this. कोई पाकिस्तानी को ऐसे हैंड ओवर करेगा इस तरीके से कि आप आकर कुछ अपना इंस्टीट्यूशन यहाँ बनाइए, उस इंस्टीट्यूशन के अंदर क्या वो बन जाएगा, कुछ समझ नहीं किसी को आएगा. So there is an inherent respect for India, for Bharat, based upon this acceptance and tolerance. This is something which is anathema for Pakistan. They cannot understand it. Despite this fact, they don't ever wish to project. They never wish to try and show that they too can be secular in approach, that they've got a small minority of people and that they can respect them hugely. Instead of passing blasphemy laws, instead of sort of not assisting the Sufis and not assisting the Shias and declaring the Ahmadiyyas as non-Muslim, there are far better things to do in this world than following this path.
सर एक फाइनल क्वेश्चन सर आपसे, बलूचिस्तान
जी।
and Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. Balochistan is more in the news recently. A hijacking of a train. Pakistan keeps on doing very novel things which nobody has tried before. Hijacking of a train, killing of people. It is relentless now. I was going through the figures for this year, sir. South Asia Terrorism Portal shows that till 16th April, 204 security personnel have been killed in action in Balochistan against 115 separatist terrorists. One might call them whatever one wishes to. Or Fazlur Rahman, he's a very respected politician, radical politician, but somebody who has his ears on the ground. He had said a few weeks before the Zafar Express hijack that around 5 to 6 districts in Balochistan were on the verge of declaring independence. We could have said that it was the ranting of some radical leader, but that Omar Ayub, who's the leader of opposition in the National Assembly, he has said that the writ of the Pakistani state has ceased to exist in around half a dozen districts in Balochistan. Whereas Mr. General Asim Munir, he is challenging कि 10 नस्लें निकल जाएंगी, is virtually threatening annihilation. So do you see a repeat of 1971? Is Pakistan on the same path?
See, I won't say that Pakistan is on the path of 1971 yet. 1971 and East Pakistan was a very different story because of the lack of contiguity of territory. You see the swath of 1,500 kilometers of Indian territory in the middle, not having enough defense resources there, not having integrated those very people turning against you. All this was very much existent in 71. यहाँ पर तो ये contiguous territory है, this is all part of the thing, although 40% of Pakistani land is Balochistan with just 14 or 15% of the population. But they've treated the Balochis very badly. They've treated the Balochs very, very badly. Despite having the experience of Bangladesh behind them, they continue to do this. And this seems to be a typical West Punjabi kind of a characteristic where you remain blind completely to the past. They've tried it with Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, जहां पर इतना problem नहीं है, मगर वहां पर भी bombing out those villages out there, using helicopter gunships, using tanks and ICVs against those people, or they're evacuating all those villages to make sure that all the terrorists are sort of annihilated inside there. That is the kind of tactics and strategies that they have used there. Similar things they're trying in Balochistan, but Balochistan being much larger, it is not simple to do it. The sense of Pakistani nationalism is diluting. There is no doubt about it. It's diluting. One in Sindh, to Mahajir a lot. In Balochistan, you're seeing what is happening. And Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. It's only in the heartland of Punjab that you find the true idea of Pakistan, the thought process of Pakistan remaining as it is, right? But I won't say that things have come to pass. And there was a time when Operation Zarb-e-Azb 2014, 2018 was going on, when I felt at one stage that Pakistan was really in the possible situation where vociferous tendencies could actually break it up. But they managed to overcome it, and there is some smart soldiering at that time, I must say, to overcome it. But today, the threats are building. We haven't reached breaking point. We haven't reached that point of no return yet. But things can go down, absolutely downhill overnight. Overnight, these kind of things happen overnight. If you go into the history of 1971, there were event to event which happened in Bangladesh, starting with the very famous cyclone of 1970, December 1970, and then subsequently the elections of 1970, this end of 1970, the refusals of Bhutto, Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, to hand over power, to agree to share power with Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, each had a cascading effect. And that is exactly the kind of situation which can build up here. But the only advantage here that the Pakistan central state has got is the contiguity of territory. The contiguity of territory will ensure that, and large part of the Pakistan Army is essentially a Punjabi. Pakistan's army, to my mind, still continues to remain a fairly unified force. I mean, that's the truth that we have to accept. One should not just try and imagine things that because there are vociferous tendencies in the states, and therefore automatically it affects the police forces or it affects the central administrative services or the armed forces. No, the armed forces definitely not so far. But
Sir,
it can happen.
I agree
It can
that
happen.
we as Indians need to live in realism and prepare for the exigencies which surround us
Absolutely.
from everywhere. And on that
Absolutely.
note, I would like to conclude, sir. It has been a very enriching session. And I hope that through this session, General Munir gets some sense with the response you have given to him. Thank you so much, sir.
I'm
Thank you.
sure he will see this program sometime. I'm sure a lot of generals in Pakistan Army will see this program too and get the message clear.
Yes, sir.
This is a clear message to them. Lay off from administration. You'll see that how in India we have built a model in which we have mutual respect. The civil-military relationship is one of mutual respect.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, and Jai Hind, sir.